We're going again. We're back with the headset again. I'll move that out the way. Today, we are talking about the movie Pandorum. But first, I have a few things to say. Two quick things. One, I've been doing a couple movie reviews recently, so I think at this point the channel is essentially becoming like a horror movie review channel. Um, I did Underwater yesterday. I did The Strangers Chapter 1. Um, I did Venom 3. But if you have any horror movies that you would like to know about, or that you want me to watch, or that you think I should watch, just go and leave a comment down below and then let me know. And then I'll go and check it out. And then I'll let you know what I think. Two, I started a Patreon. It's small. I don't have a lot to give. At the moment, all I have is I'll give a shout out to patrons at the end of my videos. Looking in towards the future, I would like to eventually start getting like stickers or even like pins or something to say thank you for anything that you would give by donating to that or by supporting me and the channel. So if you are interested and would like to help with that, I'll leave the Patreon link down in the description below. With that said, let's just start talking about the movie. This movie was not at all what I thought it would be. Just looking at the cover alone, and even the description of the movie from IMDb, it reads, two crew members of a spaceship wake up from hypersleep to discover that all of their colleagues are missing. Despite this, it appears that they are not alone. They they're not wrong. That is what happens. Where the problem comes in is I didn't watch a trailer for this. I didn't look at anything for this. This has been on my watch list for years now. I just saw a picture of the cover and thought it looked cool and saved it and added it to my list. And yesterday I was looking for a movie to watch and I saw that one and I said, fuck it. This one's been on my list forever, so I'll go and check it out. Right off the bat, it wasn't a bad movie. It just, don't go into this expecting horror. I was looking for Alien, Underwater, like I watched yesterday. Life is a good example. Something like that, some kind of space horror thing. Instead, what I got was the Resident Evil movies. I don't mean that in a bad way because I actually like the Resident Evil movies. As Resident Evil property, I think they are not very great. I can admit that when you compare them to the games, they're not that good. But I think as like their own standalone thing, the Resident Evil movies are kind of fun, just as like something you put on just to have a good time. Just if you're just hanging out with some friends or you just want a random action movie to watch, they're good for that. Going back to Pandorum, this is an action movie that you put on just to watch for action. Not exactly in the same sense as Resident Evil, because it does have it has sci-fi elements. They're on a spaceship. It has kind of spooky horror moments a little bit. I think there was one part that jump scared me. I will admit that. It was in the very beginning, but it did get me, I have to admit. But this is not there's a creature on the ship, we have to fight it, we have to try and escape from it, we have to run. This is, what is the best way to put this? I just realized this, looking at the genre, it does say action, horror, mystery. So I could have done a little more research on my part, but regardless, if you are going into this movie, do not expect horror. It does have mystery. It's not a bad movie. There are twists in the movie. There are some interesting plot things. There are also some kind of dumb plot things, but I'll get into that in a sec. This movie is not spooky, scary, big alien monster. This is, we got to get here. We got to get, we're here. we got to get here because this thing is happening. We try and get here. Oh, there's a bunch of bad guys. We got to run from them. And then they go, there's action scenes. There's all this stuff. I don't know how else to put it. It's just, it's not really a horror movie. It's more of an action movie with sci-fi and then a little bit of scariness every now and then. Rating the movie, I would give it probably 5.5, maybe 6 out of 10. Ignoring that I kind of blue balled myself by hoping that it was a big space alien movie. It was good. It was. I will say this. It also came out in 2009. So for 2009 standards, a lot of the effects were really good. All of it was very good. They did a good job with this movie. It just, I guess the plot could have been just a little bit better in some parts. There weren't any moments that stuck out to me as like, ooh, that was really bad. That wasn't good or anything like that. It just all could have been just a little bit better in one way or another. Getting into some spoiler stuff. First off, Norman Reedus is in this movie, and at first, I was super hyped to see he was in there because once I realized this was more of an action movie, I was like, okay, cool. So since Norman is in this, he's gonna have some kind of cool action scene or he's gonna do something. No, no, he dies. Maybe like maybe like 5 minutes after you see him. He is not in here for long. So when you see him, don't get used to him because he comes and he goes just like that. Getting into major spoilers, what I did like at first, until I started thinking about it more, was the twist at the end that Lieutenant Peyton, Dennis Quaid, was actually like from one of the previous crews that were supposed to be on the ship. And so, like, he realized that the planet they were from, he heard the message that the planet they were from had gotten destroyed. And he went crazy, essentially. And then Gallo, played by Cam Gigandet, I don't know how to say his name, he comes on, and essentially, at first you think he's a whole different person. And then, eventually the movie reveals that it's just all in Peyton's mind. And Peyton and Gallo are just the same person. Gallo is just young Peyton. They did it in a really good way. I liked it. The only problem I have with it is when you start thinking about it more and then you finish the movie and watch it to the end, there are things that don't make sense. I'll get this off the bat real quick right away. The ship that they're in, the big ass spaceship that went from one planet all the way to another one, big ass ship with hundreds, thousands of cryopods, a fucking big ass nuclear reactor thing or whatever it is in the ship. It's able to fly all the way in outer space, all the way from planet to planet. Somehow, with all of that technology, they didn't make the ship able to float in water. At the very end of the movie, the main characters are in the bridge of the ship, the like control deck, whatever, and they go and open the windows, and one of them asks where all the stars are because they're supposed to just be drifting in space somewhere. And so Peyton is like, "There are none. There are no stars. We have gone so far that there just aren't any stars anymore." And then a little bit after, some action stuff happens. You start seeing like weird glowing stingray things, and then they realize they're underwater. They've been on the planet the whole time. They just crashed into the water and they've been stuck in the water. Thinking about that, it doesn't make any sense that like the ship, for one, the ship can't float. Two, if the ship can't float, they didn't have a way for like the ship to like autopilot to get back up to the surface or anything, or to detect that they were, for one, to just detect that they were on the planet that they were supposed to, that they were looking for, that they were supposed to be going to. Like they didn't have a way to like, manually auto eject everyone and say, hey, we're up here on the planet, time to go. Also, it kind of makes Peyton's whole character kind of an idiot. Or, I mean, he's crazy, but like, he apparently he kind of has a god complex in a sense, like he's controlling the ship or whatever. But it also doesn't make any sense because there are supposed to be multiple crews on the ship. So Peyton was part of, I believe, the fourth one, which is the one that found out their home planet got destroyed. Bauer is part of the fifth crew. And so it's like, if they have all these crews, someone should have been awake when they crashed onto the planet and then they crashed in the water. So someone should know that they're in the water unless the whole thing is just Peyton, just went crazy and killed them all and said, nope, we're just stuck here now. And maybe he just didn't want to leave or something. I don't know. But if that's not the case, if other people knew, or even if Peyton didn't know, then like, how did he not know? If he did know, then I guess he's just crazy. But if he didn't know that they crashed on, somebody should have known that they were on the planet. There should have, you would think, because they had crew members like piloting the ship or at least an autopilot on, so they should have known when they would get to the planet. And it's like, why? I just don't understand like how they were just stuck there for that long. Just if they had, I'm getting stuck on one point too long. The point is, I don't understand how they were stuck underwater for that long without somebody saying anything or somebody realizing something. Like, even just when they were getting close to the planet, unless Peyton had just killed them all and gone crazy already, they should have known. And if Peyton had gone crazy and not told anyone, then there's no reason for him to like not wake up and realize, hey, the planet's right there, other than, he just killed everyone. So now he has to keep pretending that they're all. I guess that makes sense in that case. Because, like, if he goes and kills all the crew members and then they arrive on the planet and then he wakes everybody up, they're going to ask, where are all the other crew members? And he can't just be like, oh, I killed them and then we got on the planet. Because then they're all going to turn on him. So it makes sense in that case, but that's like really trying to rationalize it. Another thing too that I thought about is in the ship they had like a whole bunch of DNA or whatever from like, plants and animals and everything in the ship so they could repopulate, so they could rebuild the earth. Like they had grasshoppers that were shown and they had a bunch of stuff. And that's all down at the bottom of the ocean on the new planet. So they at the moment they have no way of getting any of that. So they're kind of screwed on that part. Another thing real quick that doesn't really make a lot of sense is like the monster hybrid human things that were on the ship, cuz like what they said of like how they got there or what they are is that they were humans that had been in the cryosleep and something was in the food that was mutating them. But like, if that's the case, how come some of them are mutated and then some of them aren't? Like, how is Bauer perfectly fine, even though he's part of the fifth squad and there's someone from the sixth? Like, how are they fine? But then people from whatever previous ones, they got turned into mutant things, whatever. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know. That could have also just been, Peyton going crazy and maybe he was messing with stuff and, leaving people in the cryopods for longer than they were supposed to be. And then, that happens. Wrapping it up now, that's pretty much all I had. Is just Norman Reedus was in the movie for a little bit. The ending kind of doesn't make sense on Peyton's part. The movie was good, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Uh, it wasn't really what I wanted either. I was in the mood for a space horror movie, and then I got Resident Evil in space. But regardless, it was still okay. So I would recommend checking it out at least once if you're just in the mood for a random movie. But with that said, thanks for watching. Check out the Patreon if you would like. I would appreciate anything. Uh, Thank you for watching the video. Have a good one.